All right, let's get this thing fired up, shall we? Looks like everyone's checking in nicely. Dina is here from French Lick. Good evening to you. Connie's here. Bev's here. Glenda is. Let's live and learn. I like it. Let's see who else we got. All kinds of folks. Good evening to you. Welcome to episode 264 of Wise Advice. Always fun to hang out with you. For those of you just checking in, game plan, we'll check in for 10-15 minutes, say hello. I'll record episode 264. You get to watch that, be a part of that, and then I'll put 264 in the app, and then you're free to go. We'll have a good time. So it's a Tuesday evening, long day for me, but always good to hang out with you guys. All kinds of fun people. Jane is here. Good evening to you. Bev says, finally caught the podcast. Yay! Julie says, I'll stop in and say hi, but I can't stay tonight. I know we're a little later than normal tonight. Tuesday night, in order for me to get it in, 10 o'clock is about as early as I can really manage, but we're getting there. We got some exciting news to share eventually on the studio, so working on that. Fingers continued to be crossed. Tracy says, hoping I can stay awake. Me too. I totally get it. Diane is here. Good evening to you. Kathy says, hello all. Let's see. Glenda is here from Aubrey, Texas, where it hit nearly 90 degrees today. Woo. Cooling down nicely this evening. Yeah, the evenings are nice. It does that. Dan takes us international up in Winnipeg. Good evening to you. Nora's here. Jillian's here. Mandy says, hi, Mike Daggett. Hi, Mandy. Lori is here. Says, hi to all the wingmen. Very nice. Another Lori from Richmond, California. Good evening to you. Pennsylvania. Catherine checks in. Pamela says, 79 degrees at my house in Colorado today. Blizzard warning for tomorrow night. Isn't the weather crazy? Judy says Seattle's here. Gail is here from San Francisco Bay. Let's see. Pittsburgh. Kevin checks in. Good evening to you. Sandy's here. Northern California checks in over on YouTube. Karen is here from Long Island. Pennsylvania is here. See Gwen and Tony. Very nice. Good evening to both of you. So we're live on YouTube, live on Twitter, live on Facebook. Those are the three platforms I can stream live to at the moment. So if you're on one of those three, good evening. Welcome. Let's see who else we have here. Kat checks in from Ohio. Not too far, just a little bit over the ways, just a little east of here. I'm in Indianapolis, for those of you who don't know. Very nice. Southern Maryland, Michelle checks in. Let's see. Lori says, meeting friends at 5:45 to walk before work. Catch y'all next time. I get it. You'll have to catch the replay. Ralph checks in from New Jersey on YouTube. On Twitter. Good evening to you. Very cool. Adrian says, I'm in. Woohoo! Adrian's here. Adrian is a master at handwriting forgery. FYI. Don't leave your signature anywhere near her. Just throwing it out there. Maryland gal, Diana's here. Mary checks in. Good evening to you. Let's see. Amy says just checking in for a minute. Yeah. So I get it. You know, it's a little later than we would normally like, but in order for a Tuesday night, this week is just nuts for me. I have a speaking engagement tomorrow night that I'm witnessing, not participating. Long story. And then my workshop on Thursday night. So this week is just jam packed. It's from 7 to 8 all week. So it was important. I don't think tomorrow night I have no control over my schedule. I don't know how long I'm going to be there. So I said, well, I want to squeeze one in tonight to make it work. So that's what's going on. Jamie says hi to Diane. Marianne says hello, everyone. Very, very, very fun. So hopefully your week is going well. Minnesota and Wisconsin check in. Very nice. Randy, good evening to you. Let's see. Melissa says hi. Very cool. So game plan, like I said, we're going to, episode 264, I got a good show for you. The producers, Heather and Lisa, have done a great job cultivating your emails. It's a teaser, right? But the second email in this bunch is, they're all good. The second email pulled at me a little differently tonight, so I can't wait to get that out to you so you guys can hear it. I think a lot of you will understand a lot about it. So that's the tease. Sorry to tease you in such a way, but it's important stuff that we're doing. So I thank you for being here. Thanks for being a part of this. I think what's cool about this entire journey in the podcast and us hanging out live right now is the power of sharing each other's story. That's what makes this thing work. And so many people who write in and share their story, it takes a lot of bravery to share your story with, whatever, hundreds of thousands of people, whatever it is. So I get that, and I really truly appreciate when you take the time to write it out. And two things happen. One is when you write it out, it lets some of that emotion go, and it kind of gives you energy that you can release. And then reading your own letter helps a little bit. But number two is other people hear it and read it and go, yeah, that's me too. So interesting enough. That's the game plan. 1 second, my computer was not charging, and I did not want it to die in the middle of this, so I forgot to plug the computer in. So all right, we're good. Anyway, so many people can resonate with your email, and so you realize more than anything that you're not in this alone. There are other people who get it and go, yep, I'm in the same boat. And so what's cool is you watch other people do what you're trying to do, and they deal with a lot of life challenges, and then you simply go, we can do this. That's the power of this group. So very nice. Corinne crushed the 40-pound mark. Very nice. Tinley Park, Illinois. Good evening to you, Jan. So, Lori says, well, somehow I invited all my friends to watch. Hi, Lori's friends. Good evening. Thanks for being here. Hopefully you're all tuning in. It's a great place to hang out. It doesn't matter what night. Garrett checks in from Mill Valley, California. New Orleans, Rachel checks in. West Coasters, Judy's here. Love this time. So yeah, for the West Coast folks, right, this time slot probably not bad, 7 p.m. East Coast, 10 p.m. Man, there's a good chance somewhere in the middle of this episode I'm going to take a nap. So probably between episodes 2 and 3, I'm going to pause, and then I'll go take a little bit of a nap, and then I'll come back and finish. So we'll see if that's true. Michelle, hello from Kensaw, Georgia. Let's see, Ann is here. Good evening to you. I think that's everyone. Checking in from New Jersey, Jacqueline, good evening to you as well. So let's do this thing. Shall we get episode 264 recorded? I encourage you often that, the game is send an email in. It does two things. It releases it out of your brain. It gets it out of there. It gets it out of your mind and puts it where it needs to be. Two, like I said, it helps other people. So if you have not already, on air at fatdag.com, that is the best place to shoot the email to. I got two great producers who are taking your emails and working them out, and makes it a lot easier for me. Like I said, Tuesday nights are generally the hardest night for me because I lead a workshop on Tuesday night, so I don't get home till about 8:30. So, but having the show already produced and ready to go was a game changer, lifesaver. So Lisa, Heather, thank you always again for that. Garrett asking, where is Lee? Lee has a dinner engagement. If you follow along on Twitter, on the Fat Dag Twitter account and the WhysAdvice Twitter account, the WhysAdvice account primarily is show-related tweets. The Fat Dag is just completely randomness, but Lee has let us know that he is unable to attend tonight, so that's where Lee is. And no, he's not. It's West Coast for Lee, so it's only 7 p.m. He's at dinner. Tracy says email is on the list every day. Yep. All right, let's do this. Let's get this thing started. It's late for me. I want to get to bed as well. I got a busy week this week. Lots of stuff going on. Audio sounds good here. Let me get the recording button recording. Looks like we're good. All right, so we're officially recording. So, all right, so here's 264. It's a, like I said, good show. You're going to like the whole thing, I think. But I want you to particularly pay attention to to the second email in this show. It's the one that I'm actually looking forward to, not looking forward to recording or talking about. It's just one of those life things that's just kind of crazy. So stick around for that. Rockford, Illinois checks in. Good evening. Coletta, good evening to you. Shannon says Shannon from South Carolina, good evening to you. Sandy says, thanks for taking the time to help us. Sandy, so, this was a two-way street for me. I'll be brutally honest, right? So we help each other. The reason I started the podcast was initially for my own accountability as well, plus sharing your stories and sharing everything. So it's a two-way street. This is 100% for me and you at the same time. It works out really good. So Connecticut, Maria checks in. So let's see. YouTube is asking me. I can't pronounce your username. Let's see. Hypnostic TV asks, why is your name Fat Dag? So I'll explain that, right? Many people may or may not know, and this is a good time to share that. But real quickly, last name is Daggett. That's my current last name, or always been my last name, I guess. User in the military, we usually shorten each other's names. So for a long time, my nickname was Dag. Nothing more than Dag. So people say, hey, Dag, hey, Dag, hey, Dag. And then there was a period of time where some person not so nice to me decided that I was overweight and didn't like it. And so he took took his shirt and stuffed it. And so the shirt became bigger than it needed to be. And he walked around the building saying, hey, my name is Dag and I'm fat. And so I'm now Fat Dag. So he nicknamed me Fat Dag. I kind of owned it from that point on. I didn't like it, of course, but I owned it. You know, I kind of said, okay, you know, maybe you're right. I am overweight. I am fat. So, so when I first joined Weight Watchers for the very first time, it asked for a username, and so I wasn't happy. I was not in a good place. I didn't like anything about me joining. So as a username, I said, well, I'll make my username Fat Dag because that's what they called me. That's what he called me anyways. And so from that point on, I've kind of owned it. And so that's the game plan. That's why the nickname Fat Dag. You know, so good news is now is joke's on him. I've solved this problem. So I think he's still a jerk. So we're even. Anyway, that's the scenario there. Jessica, good evening to you. All right, let's rock and roll. 264. Let's do it. So on this episode, 264, we have a couple things. We have Tina comes in from Charlotte, Amy out of Michigan, and then Becky out of Colorado Springs are all here. So good evening to the three of you. Let's get some water in, right? Always start the show, get us dehydrated. A special blend of 2019 water fresh from the hills of Carmel, Indiana. Let's go ahead and tip that off. Cheers. There we go. Awesome. Do it. Whew. Beth says, if I get kicked out again, I'm off to the next one. Don't get kicked out. Facebook and YouTube are interesting. So, whew, that's some good water there. Luckily, I took it out just in time, so it's not super duper cold. So, very, very, very good. Judy says, we love our Fat Dag. Thank you. And Donna agrees. Joke's on him. I agree. Yeah, I mean, you can give me a nickname, but, you know, you can't change, you know, his personality. So, certainly, I haven't talked to him in, I don't know, 20-some years, so hope he's doing well. Truly, I really do. But we're not going to ever be friends. So, all right, on that note, Sandy says, I cannot drink that much water at one time. It's an art. I'm very skilled. Do not try this at home. Episode 264, rolling. Are you ready? I am your host, Fat Dag. You're listening to WhysAdvice. My weight loss journey failed when I focused on how. It wasn't until I switched my focus to why that I truly transformed myself. Join the show on the web at fatdag.com and follow along on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, all at WhysAdvice. Send in your comments, your questions, your celebrations. I'll include them as part of the show. But before we dive in, remember, when you're out of points, stop eating points. Hey, I'm honored to be your wingman as we walk through this journey together because I believe in you. Well, hello there. Welcome to episode 264 of WhysAdvice. Always good to hang out with you. Just before the show, we were live on Facebook, we're still live on Twitter, live on YouTube as well. So you can always catch the live show there. I found a way now, finally, to add the events to the Fat Dag Facebook page. So if you're following me on Facebook, I'm now adding the podcast events to the Facebook page, so you can click that you're interested, click that you're going, and then Facebook will remind you. Twitter always will remind you as well, but now Facebook gives you a chance to get a Facebook reminder as well. So go to the Fat Dag Facebook.com / I think it's WhysAdvice, and then like the page and click on the events and subscribe to the event. So you'll get a notification every time I create a new event there. So that's always good news. So finally, Facebook has got that fixed for me, make it a little easier. That's the number one. Follow along on Twitter at the WhysAdvice account too. Let you know every time I commit to a show, and you get a 15-minute warning there. So thank you all for being here on the live show. You can certainly listen to the replays anytime you want in the WhysAdvice app. Go to your app store, whether it be the Google Store or the Apple Store, and search for WhysAdvice with Fat Dag. Download the free app, and then you can catch any show you want whenever you want. It makes it very easy to just kind of keep playing, to give you a daily dose and a reminder of what it is you're trying to accomplish and that it's possible. So thank you all for being here. Thanks to the Patreon community who've stepped up to continue to provide the financial support for this show. For as little as $1 a month, you can certainly keep this thing going, and I truly appreciate every single one of those dollars. It enables this whole thing to grow the way it has. Information coming soon on a couple new details that I've released into the Patreon community. So if you're looking for that, this is a teaser. If you're looking for a little extra, you got to hop in there. It'll cost you $1, but I think it's a great little community as well. So thank you for being a part of this. Episode 264 is a good one. I really want you to pay attention to this one. Not that I don't want you to pay attention to the rest, but there's an important message in the middle of this one that I believe we all need to hear, and I want to make sure that you do not miss the second episode here, or the second email here. So let's open the show with Tina. Tina writes in out of Charlotte, North Carolina. She said, Mike, in response to your call for complacency emails, here I am. In 2013, I lost 49-point-something pounds. It put me right around 199. I was thrilled. I was into Wonderland. After this, I made some major life changes, separating from my husband, moving on with life, dating, having all the fun that I felt restricted from in my marriage. I looked good. I was the queen of complacency, and of course, I quit WW and I gained 65 pounds. So this past summer, I returned to what works. As so many do, my on-again, off-again relationship with WW returned. I have found a lifestyle change that works for me, and I'm basically hovering right around 200 now. On Saturday, I went to 199.7 on my home scale. Woohoo! But right back up again. My official weight loss is at 63.8 pounds. I have done the program so many times over the years, on and off, for more than about 25 years. I have never made goal. My heart now is different. Thanks to some major brain work, I have a totally different mindset than ever before. I want it so much more this time, and I know it can be done. But there's this nagging voice, the one that says, I will get complacent again, if not at 199, maybe at 179 or 175. Not where I really need to go. So how do I get this mean girl to shut up? Since last Monday, I've been doing the 21-day fix with Beachbody. That means 30 minutes of pretty full-on exercise daily. I'm on day 12. I am very obviously building muscle, and I'm hungry. I've eaten more than I should have of the wrong things, and I know that. I'm staying about the same on the scale, but I can feel the changes in my body. I'm not upset about the lack of scale movement. I know it will move, but I'm in a terrible mood. I've tried eating more protein, but it really doesn't seem to help. I want carbs, but I don't really want to overdo it. Today I took four different outfits to get dressed for work. I am almost out of everything in my closet, which was honestly, it was a big part of the goal. I'm over 60 pounds down, and I'm so proud of that, but for some reason, this morning's closet activity, it really pissed me off. One dress was too tight, but everything else was huge. This is good, not something to frustrate me. Look, my mind is in the right place. I know that what I'm doing is building habits that I can carry for a lifetime. But this is the place where I know in the past I've become complacent. I know this is an issue for me, and more than just a little bit, it scares me. What tips do you have to get me over this obstacle? I know this is all in my mind. I know I can do this, but I'm feeling a bit blah about the whole thing. That fear is still there and strong. I think I'm trying to go 1 pound at a time, feeling positive but cautious. I am not happy with the shape of my body this time, where I was much happier at this weight last time. I just think I see it all in a different way. Tina. Tina, let's celebrate a couple of the obvious things here first. congratulations on being 63.8 pounds down. That is incredible work. You started the journey, obviously years ago, rolling through. Great job. You know how to do this. You have proven to yourself time and time again that you understand the weight loss side of this journey. Very, very, very important to understand that. Very important to know that you can do it. That's the hardest part, is knowing that you can do it and believing that you can do it. And then now we have to turn this into, okay, how do I maintain it? The first go around, major life changes. I get it. Separating from your husband, moving on with the life, back to dating, all of that stuff certainly is going to rock your world. And at the time you felt amazing. So therefore the old lifestyle crept back in. And then, you said in your own words, you gained 65 pounds back because you quit following the program. So here's where we're at now. We want to prevent that. And you're doing a great job now by recognizing that that is or was a possibility. So you've done it a little bit differently this time. Now you say, okay, I now understand that I have this nagging voice in me that says you're going to get complacent again. And that's not where you want to be. And so how do we get that voice to quiet down? We quiet that voice down by continually working to improve ourselves. One of the things that we have to do is we have to build healthy habits. And so, and when I say that, a lot of times it sounds like it's a little bit cliche, right? We know that. We know we have to do things differently, but we have a set of habits and a set of patterns of things that we do that led us to this point in time. We have to find things along the way that we can modify and change to lead us to a new place. So here you are, you're clearly able to lose weight. You've got that thing locked in. You're working the Beachbody thing. You're working the point where you're getting your exercise in. We have got to figure out the eating side of this. I've said it more than once. I wish there was a food school. Hey, if you run a food school out there, not just as a nutritionist, which I think is a very vital role, but I think so many of us don't know how to eat. We understand there's some things that are better for us than others, but there is a proper way to eat, and I'm not an expert on this, but there's a proper way to eat where your body's getting all of the proper nutrients and fuel that it needs day in and day out. So you fight off the hunger, you fight off the crankiness, and you really are living and eating the best version of yourself. Certainly much easier to do in a controlled environment, but as social situations come in, we have to now balance the social situations with this, this food school that I would love to figure out a way to learn everything we need to know about food. So here's where I want to go with this is complacency is true. And here's what happens. When we are in the weight loss mode, we're focused. We're dialed in. We see the goal. We see the progress. And we know what we're trying to do is doable. We believe it. And so therefore, every opportunity, we make a true assessment of, does this align with my goal, or does this not align with my goal? Does this action push me closer to goal or further away? And when you make those decisions and you see the goal so close, it becomes a little easier to make a difficult choice of, I don't want that right now. What I want is I want to wake up tomorrow a little bit lighter, a little bit healthier, and I want to get to goal. When we get to goal, then suddenly the how to lose weight piece, the desire to lose weight goes away. And then all of a sudden there isn't a single goal to focus on. The simple goal of working out more, moving more, getting more exercise, it isn't measurable like a scale number is. So what happens is as we get complacent, we really like our new life. We like feeling healthy. We like the activity we've added into our life. We like celebrating the things that we now can do that we couldn't do before. But there isn't that last bit of, do I want to do this to get closer to a goal or push myself further away? And so we need to come up with something in your journey that motivates you a similar or same way that the losing weight did. A lot of people add in exercise and you start tracking it. And so you can't have a goal of exercise more. You have to do something like what you're doing with Beachbody. It's like, okay, I'm going to do a 21-day fix. Okay, I'm on day 12. I want to get through day 13. I want to get through day 14. And so you ramp it up. And then when you get that program completed, you're going to have to find a new goal. So constantly evaluating the things that are going right, adding attendance goals for things that build healthy habits, and completely changing your life is what you're after. if you want to revert back into the things that you did prior to starting this journey, you know where that ends up. So it's just a matter now of saying, okay, I want to live a healthy, happy life. You have to define that. You have to quantify that. And you have to use something that you can truly measure so that you can determine if you are able to push forward towards that, continuing to push forward and making it happen. The fear will always be here. It will always be strong. And I think, I would love to talk to a lifetime member who's been lifetime for, lifetime at goal for 10, 15 years. Because I believe that there are still periods of time in their life when they still wrestle with making the right decision. So here I am, I've been soda free now for I think about 4 years. Haven't had a drop of soda in about 4 years. And interestingly enough, for the first time in a long time, we went to dinner the other night, and I almost, out of an auto response, ordered a Coke. And again, haven't had a Coke in 4 years, easily. Haven't had a single drop. Haven't even wanted one. Haven't even thought about it. And then all of a sudden, in the right environment, we walked in, and the lady asked, "What would you like to drink?" And I went, "Water." And it was weird for me. So I guess what I'm saying here is that we truly always will have to fight with ourselves. And so you have to then again find something to measure, find something that you can truly check off every day that you're doing it, and making success some other way than a scale. Now I understand too that fighting with your closet, you're fighting a good thing. You're fighting clothes that are too big. I always make the recommendation that when you have clothes that are too big, you have to donate them. You have to get rid of them. You got to sell them. You got to do something. Take them to your workshop. Something you have to do with them because something that is too big will always fit. And so what happens is as when we start to slip and you had that fear of going back, and then you can revert back to an entire closet that fits you, then suddenly before you realize it, the stuff in the closet becomes too tight. And at one point it was too big. So I always say the second it becomes too big, it's got to go. And then that is a quick little subtle reminder that, okay, I can reel this thing back in rather than growing back into it. So very, very good. Keep doing this thing all the time. You got this. You really, really can do this. Those little non-scale victories, those little things every single day that you're now doing that you couldn't do, you've got to capture them. You've got to write them down. You've got to celebrate every single one of them. Why? Because you earned every single one of them. Congratulations on an amazing life. Congratulations on 63.8 pounds down. Congratulations on doing it. Celebrate that. You've done amazing work, so keep it up. Thanks for writing in for sure. Folks, this next email comes in from Amy out of Michigan, and she says, "Hi, Mike. Hey, I've been meaning to write in for a while. I hope my story can help someone else. Even if you don't read it, I know putting it down on paper will help me a little too. I'm sorry that it's so long. My backstory. You and I actually have some things in common. I, like you, was an Air Force recruiter. I retired in 2014 as a flight chief. That's regional recruiting manager for the civilian folks out of South Bend, Indiana. We may have even crossed paths a few times. Most of my Air Force career, I was borderline with my weight and fitness, every year cramming into the workouts a couple months prior to testing and just barely passing. Then once I went in recruiting, I really struggled with my weight. Being away from a base, long hours, and lots of windshield time made eating healthy and staying fit a challenge. I found Weight Watchers. I joined a few times, getting down close to goal, then stopping, just to come back later with a new start weight, usually higher than my previous start weight. Not an uncommon story at all. My highest weight during this time, 231 pounds. Fast forward a bit, after I retired in 2014 with a 2-year-old son, I became a stay-at-home mom and a full-time student working on my master's. My weight crept up again, and this time I really committed to WW. I made goal. Woohoo! Hey, and I maintained it for quite a while. Then, when I was about 6 months from finishing my degree, my husband lost his job. Since I had a higher income potential, we decided that I would go back to work and he would stay home. Our son was about 3 years old at the time and recently diagnosed with autism, so we felt it was important for one of us to stay home if we could make it work. This worked for us. I stopped going to meetings because of my new schedule, and my weight crept up about 10 pounds. At this point, I was at my new job for about 3 months with one semester left to go. This is when my world fell apart. No, fell apart is too mild of a phrase. My world was destroyed. One evening in August of 2016, my beautiful sister took her life. She was 2 years younger than me. We had always been very close, but in the last year, she started drifting from me and the rest of the family. I was the last person to speak to her. She called me and we talked for a while about lots of things. There were many red flags during the call, but I missed them all. I blew it. Even with the suicide awareness training that I completed every year through my Air Force career, I completely failed one of the most important people in my life. I hated myself. The guilt was and still is enormous. I always thought grief was an emotional experience, but it's not. It's physical too. It affects every aspect of your life and every fiber of your being. I was exhausted. Just getting out of bed each morning was a struggle. I really think if it hadn't been for my little boy, I might have given up. Eating healthy and exercising were not even on my radar. I started smoking again. I found myself binging on junk food. I was out of control. I started going to a grief support group, which truly helped me maintain my sanity. After a while, I started coming out of the fog, and I realized what I was doing. I was punishing myself for failing to help my sister. I felt like, how could I be so selfish to want to be thin when she's dead? But I also knew that she would not want me to blame myself, and she would want me to be healthy. I also had others who needed me, especially my little boy. Fast forward again, November 2016, my weight was now up to 201. My knees hurt. I couldn't go up the stairs without getting winded. I joined WW again. My leader and my group are amazing. Absolutely nothing like any group I've ever been with, but I was still blaming myself and punishing myself. Even though I was back to going to meetings every week, after 10 months, I was only down 6 pounds total. My head knew I needed to be there, but my heart wasn't ready to forgive myself. But I kept coming, knowing that I couldn't quit and that one day it would click. It was my lifeline. It finally started to click this January, and I'm now down 28.8 pounds, and I'm 6 pounds away from being back to lifetime. I still have bad days, but I can move past them quicker now. I know that grief will be with me until the day that I see her again, so I cannot let that rule my life. When the grief hits, I acknowledge it. I deal with it, and then get back to doing what I need to do for myself and for the people I love who are still here with me. I have realized that this life is so precious and so fragile. I cannot take it for granted. I used to see exercising as something that I had to do to make up for the junk that I was eating. Now, I see exercise as a way to celebrate and honor my body and everything that it can do. I look at food differently now, too. I want good, healthy food to fuel my body. Sure, occasionally I have a treat, but in moderation and infrequently. There are more special that way too as well. I get back to goal and I can't get back to lifetime. Even if I have a gain and have to pay for a meeting for a while again, that's okay. Ups and downs are all part of life. I'm in WW for life, not just to make goal. Thanks for listening. Thank you for creating this group and for all the support you give to other WW members, and especially for everything you are doing for our brothers and sisters in arms who struggle with their weight. Amy, the incredible strength that it took for you to put this in paper and willing to share it with us here says an awful lot about you. And so first and foremost, I thank you for opening up and for sharing so that other people can help and go through this with you. My heart breaks for you. When I read your email, my heart sunk. And so, your sister, an amazing gal, had you for support, and you provided a tremendous amount of support. I don't want you to even for a second not believe that. I understand what you said, and for those of you who may not know, but in the military world, we go through so much training on suicide prevention, suicide awareness, but that doesn't make us invincible. That doesn't make us responsible for shouldering and for carrying the burden of someone else. And so there's nothing that you could have done differently. Everything that you did was a tremendous help, and it just was not able, for herself was not able to overcome that. So again, I understand the grief, I understand the pain, and I understand where you feel the responsibility relies on you. But what I can tell you is you provided comfort to her in those last hours, and so you've got to be proud of that piece, that you have that going for you. And so I want to take just a minute and pause and say this is a very real deal. I'm going to put it in the show notes, but the hotline, suicide hotline prevention number is 1-800-273-8255. For anyone out there listening that this may relate to, I need you to have that number. I will put it in the show notes, but a quick Google search, you can find it as well. But here's where I want to go with this. You summed it up quite beautifully, is that grief is not just emotional, it truly is physical. And so no matter what we're all going through, the grief side of things is just so unpredictable. As you're doing your own journey, there's so many other things in your life that are contributing factors to you trying to just wake up every single morning and getting out of bed becomes the goal. I've said it more than once on this podcast, and so the term "do your best" is exactly what you've applied. And so you recognize that maintaining goal, getting to lifetime, all that stuff is doable. You can get there. You can do it again. You've proven time and time and time again. So that part is quote unquote easy. Now balancing that with all the things you have going on, trying to get a degree, husband losing his job, you going back to work, you're an incredibly strong person. And so all of this stuff, bottles up to you, and now you say, okay, I'm just gonna do my best, and because of my boy, I'm not gonna give up. That's powerful. And so I want you to recognize that. And as we're sitting right here, so many people in this podcast have experienced grief along their journey, and on a completely different scale, I can relate just a tiny fraction of a bit to the grief side of it, and losing a loved one in the middle of the journey. And so it certainly does throw you for a loop. You have every bit of reasoning and permission to grieve. And what you need to understand is that process will be a lifelong process, and you need to take as long as you need to take till you get to the point where suddenly you go, okay, I'm getting back into routines. Not necessarily the routines you were in prior, but when you start recognizing that you're now back into routines, that's when it's time to slowly regroup and say, okay, if I'm establishing routines, let me now establish new, healthier routines. During the initial phase of grief, there's nothing routine about your life. So it's not at all doesn't make sense during that stage of grief to try and throw this in the mix as I need to control this when everything else is just such a chaos. So now that you're back to getting back into a routine, now we just modify some of them. Eating healthy, getting exercise, they don't need to be on your radar during that period of time. You're in survival mode. You're simply doing your best. Now, here you are. You've completely regrouped. You're not ever going to forget. You're not ever going to be able to fully move on, but you're now down 28.8 pounds, and you've done that deliberately. You've done that now because you understand that when grief hits, you deal with it. You get back to what you're doing for the people who love you. You get back to the point where you say, I am worth it. I need to make this change. And the exercise truly becomes a celebration of your life. And so now you have this whole other reason to say, I want to go on. And I think moderation clearly is the key. I agree with you 100%. You've done an amazing job. I don't wish this story on anybody, but it's your story to tell, and you did it so beautifully, and you shared it with the entire community, and so many people can relate on some way, shape, or form to this story and go, I understand it. Amy, I get it, and we're incredibly sorry and for your loss, and what we now want to understand and do and say is that we're here with you. We will walk with you every single step of the way till you get to wherever it is you want to be. But your incredible strength that you're demonstrating right now by just sharing this is what allows our community to be what it is, and it becomes a true place of support. So thank you, first of all, for that. And I do want to go back all the way to the beginning where our paths may have crossed. Being an Air Force recruiter, a lot of people don't get the thing that you said. It when I read it, I instantly went, yep. And the windshield time, and it's the long hours, and leaving one appointment, going to another, and missing dinner, and the best thing you can do is hit a drive-through. I get that lifestyle. That lifestyle put me significantly overweight as well. Granted, to my own choices, but it was a contributing factor. So just like you and I, it sounds like the stories are very common when it comes to that. And so what we now know is we have proven that we can tackle this, we can make a difference, and we can get to the point in our lives where we now have routines again that we can modify to develop good habits to completely save ourselves. Again, the most important part of your emails I want you to know is as I read it, I saw the amazing victory, the complete darkness, and then I see you coming out of that darkness and having victory again. I'm incredibly proud of you for that. I'm incredibly proud of you for taking the time you needed to grieve how you needed to grieve, and now you have now proven that it's possible to recover. Amy, thank you again for writing in. Big hugs through the podcast to you. Keep up the amazing work, and keep me posted. Let me know everything else that's going on from this point forward. Folks, I really just want to make sure, and I'll put it in the show notes, but I want to repeat the number just because I think it's that important. The Suicide Prevention Hotline, 1-800-273-8255. Reach out. There are folks trained to help you. What you're going through is normal. It's experienced by thousands and thousands of people. And there are professionals who want to help you. And so, I'm not an expert, not trained in that area. If I can lend an ear, I would gladly do so. But I want you to reach out for the help that you need, because together we're better. We can do everything through each other. And so I want to share that one more time. So thank you. Next email out of Colorado Springs comes in from Becky. Becky says, "Hi, Mike. Hey, I wanted to update you on life here. As I mentioned in the Discord chat earlier, I saw a specialist today, and I confirmed that I have, Dopatrends is what I'm going to call it, contracture. As I said in the chat, it's a life-altering condition, but it's not life-threatening. It's something that I've never heard of before this past week when my GP looked at my hand and said, hey, it might be Dopatrends, and I needed to see a specialist. It's an incurable hereditary genetic condition that causes collagen to form in your hand, tightening the tendons and pulling the fingers into the palm. They have various options like injections and surgery to try and stop the contracture, but there is no permanent fix. They just have to keep working to stop it from contracting the fingers for the rest of your life. Right now, we're in a waiting stage, as my fingers need to become more contracted before they attempt to alleviate it, as they have learned that if they attempt to do this too early, it returns with an aggressive vengeance. I left the doctor's office after learning all of this, wanting to go eat all of the sweets, but instead I chose to take a quick walk and call my sister and talk through it. When I got home, I jumped on the Mundag chat on Discord because it was that time of the week. It's in my planner to make sure I don't miss it. The last few minutes of the chat that I caught were so encouraging and refocusing to me. I love that time. It really is my favorite part of the week. Afterwards, I ate an on-plan lunch and I took a long, long, long walk. And, well, I'm not going to lie, I cried more than a little. I have a little fear because of this uncertainty of this situation. My first love and passion is music, specifically playing the clarinet. It's my heart instrument. Playing it just fills something deep inside of me that nothing else as I do has ever been able to replicate. I'm a little devastated considering a life where that may become an impossibility. Then there's my job. I repair clarinets. Again, it's difficult to think of a life where I can no longer do that. I don't know where this is going or how bad it will become. It seems to be growing pretty aggressively right now. But this one thing I've learned from you, I cannot control what is going on in my hand, but I can control what I put in my mouth, what I focus on, and what I do. So I came back from my walk and I resolved to do just that. I'm going to focus on what I can control and leave the rest in God's hands. Thank you for these podcasts, for the tools that you've given us to help us along this journey. Thank you for creating a community that is there to encourage and support my fellow wingmen. They're some of the most incredible people. I'm sure I'm glad that you're all here with me as I enter this step into the great unknown. As Marcia said, I love you all. Well, not love, but love. This team is awesome. Here's to good focus, Becky. And Becky, we nicknamed Becky as Miss Mint in our Discord chat. So as in Miss Encouragement. Becky, let's go to all the way to your email and dig deep. And so, incredibly, again, heartbroken to hear that a lifelong passion of yours potentially now is going to be altered. And what I think is you're focusing on that. I get it, right? And I understand that the thought of losing that becomes the focus. And what I want you to understand, I want you to know, is there are so many amazing people on this planet that have completely reinvented themselves with the abilities that they've been given. You've been given some incredible ability, and so now that tool and talent, your mind is never going to forget that. So I'm confident and positive that as you continue to progress through this, you're going to find something that is going to fill a different need in this world, and you're going to thrive and survive as a result. I'm fully confident in that. And I want you to look in that direction, knowing that there will be something down the road that will enable you to get as much joy and pleasure as you have now. I understand the frustration. I understand the uncertainty. I understand the just letting it all go out and cry it out. Sometimes there's nothing better. I get that. And that is very incredibly therapeutic to do that. But here's where we're at. We've been dealt something that now we have to now go, I'm going to tackle this. I'm going to meet it head on, and I'm going to take what comes at me. I still can make the best choices possible when it comes to eating. I can preserve the health that I have as best as I can. That part is within your control. So continue to do that piece. Continue to focus there, and let's see where this happens. I agree with you. The Discord chat, it's one of my favorite times of the week as well. And so for those who aren't familiar, for those of us in for the Patreon community, every Monday, Mondag we call it, from 3 to 4 Eastern, we hop on the computer and we just chat back and forth, and we run through a bunch of questions just to kind of really set the week off great. So if you want to be a part of that, certainly get to fatdag.com, click on the Become a Patron link. You'll be populated into there. But the chat's kind of fun because we name each other superhero names. We find fun things to say. So like I said, we call Becky Mrs. Mint for Miss Encouragement, and so that's her superhero name for short. And so as you now are an encourager, I want to encourage you as well. I want you to know that this is the term disability bothers me. Because, so many of us have a disability, and some we can see, some we can diagnose, some we know about. But really what it is it's not about what you can't do. And so that's kind of why I dislike this term is we use the term in a negative way to say these are things that I can no longer do. Well, heck, there's a whole list of a gazillion things that you can do that we need to diagnose you with. So I'm going to re-diagnose you with the ability to do something amazing and do something awesome with the time, skill, and talent that you have. You're full of time and talent. So yes, the limitation potentially that may come down the road doesn't have to stop you. You have to then reinvent yourself, find a way to use your brain, and maybe you're going to be the next inventor of something amazing that helps other people who are in this exact scenario. Because now you have an additional skill that you can bring to the table, and because your love and your passion for the instrument really now enables you to find a way to make it work. I don't know what the answer is, but what I know is that you have the ability. You've been given an ability that is needed, and you're going to solve some sort of problem with this because you're not going to let this defeat you, because the group of wingmen that you've decided to hang out with has got your back. We're here for you. We're completely here for you. We're gonna do whatever we can along the way to continue to remind you that you're awesome and that you can get to the point where you can do whatever you want to do. Leave it in God's hands. If you're spiritual, I know you are. If the rest of you are or aren't spiritual, there is a higher calling. Whatever you want to answer to, that higher calling is now telling us that this is a new path for you. Embrace it. Let's go running into it with open arms, and let's find the solution and get to the point where we can celebrate. Celebrating is where it's always at. Celebrating is the piece that we all do. And it doesn't matter if you want to celebrate getting goal, you want to celebrate joining, you want to celebrate your first 1 pound loss, you want to celebrate your first 5 pound loss. The importance along this journey is to refocus every chance you get and look for the positive. Don't let your disability define you. Take your disability and call it an ability. Find now what you are good at. Get rid of the things that you're not good at. Don't worry about it. We've all got a list of things we're not good at. I don't want you focusing there. I want you focusing on the things you're great at and celebrating every chance of the way, every possible thing that you can celebrate. Jump up and down and celebrate them. Celebrate with your friends. Celebrate with your family. Celebrate in the community. Whatever it is, the more you celebrate, the more you're going to look for ways to celebrate. When we come back to our chat on Monday, I'll open the questions with, what do you want to celebrate this week? And you better have an answer. Because celebrating often is therapeutic, and it forces you to look for other ways to celebrate. So folks, what is it that you're celebrating? Let's share it on the air. Go to fatdag.com, click on the WhysAdvice podcast link, send in the celebrations. I want to hear them. I want to read them. I send in your comments, again, your questions. I'll work them in as part of the show. I really want you to email in your celebrations. I want you to email in your questions, your comments, because I want you to be proud of what you're doing, and I want you to take the time to express it so that other people can benefit as well. When you take the time to write in, so many people have said this. What we've done is we built a community of people who get each other. And so this community reminds each other that what we're walking through is life. Life sometimes is hard. There is no question about it. The things we talk about on this podcast is, they're not things that we want to deal with, but the true reality is we all have to face something like it. And when we know that other people are winners, and other people have found the way to celebrate their abilities, and other people have now found a way to regroup, other people have found a way to take new routines and continue to thrive through the face of complete devastation, then suddenly that light burns just a little bit brighter. And we say, well, if they can do it, then I'm willing to try. And if you're willing to try, you can do whatever it is you have the ability to do. Folks, that's going to do it for this time. Remember that losing weight and getting healthy has nothing to do with luck. You have to remain disciplined and focused. Set your sights on your goal and go after it. On behalf of my co-producers, Heather and Lisa, we wish you good focus. Tell you folks, that's one of the hardest things for me is, I appreciate every bit of email that I get. It's not lost on me that you trust me with your life stories, and you trust this community. That does not get lost on me. That, I know how incredibly difficult getting some of these things out are, and then sharing them in an unknown forum with an unknown amount of people. I mean, that's not lost on me that you've chosen me to share and tell your story. So I thank you for that. And so what I can do is I can offer a great big hug and say, we got this. No, I'm not, I will never promise you that life is going to be perfect. But what I can promise you is that this community will perfectly answer whatever call that you throw at us. So thank you, for those of you who certainly do write in. And I truly know, I see it on my end as well. There are so many people that your emails help besides just yourself. And so the ripple effect that transcends through this community is phenomenal. So thank you. So on that note, Adrian says, "Are you okay?" Yeah, it's I just don't. I just sometimes I just wish I could just magic wand and make it all go away. I wish I could do that. Kara says, "Great show. I'm in tears. It's so hard for me to celebrate myself." Yeah, you gotta celebrate yourself. You really do. You really, really, really do. So, Diane says, "Wow, inspiring show tonight." Yep, thank you. Donna says, "Becky, one day at a time. Do what you can while you can. We are here for you." See, that's the thing we know. We're here for each other. That's what It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter if you're at goal. It doesn't matter if you're a lifetime. It doesn't matter if you're previously lifetime. It doesn't matter if you've gained 18 trillion pounds since you hit goal. None of that matters. What matters is that we understand. We are family, right? So that's the value of this community. And the coolest thing about this is we find. I've said this a couple times too. We've gotten to the point where we know that if I wanted to polarize the community, there are plenty of topics out there that I could throw out, and I could dig a hard line in the sand, and half of you would just be like, "I'm out." And so the beauty of this community is that we've taken the time to say, okay, while I'm here, I want to focus on the similarities that we have as people on this planet, on this journey, on a weight loss journey, and I want to celebrate those similarities. And so that connection that we built together makes us a family, and I can't be more proud of this group. And I'm anxious to take this uniform off. I love serving my nation. I've been doing it for 27 years, and so that is the single greatest honor I've had to this point. The second greatest honor, and I don't know which is going to be greater, but the second greatest honor now is to cultivate our stories together, bring people together, and prove to everybody else that this journey is so doable. So anyway, that's my little bit of a mini rant, not even a rant, but mini heart pouring tonight. So great chatting with you guys tonight. I want to get this thing out and published. I want to get to bed. But I want you guys to know that your emails make this thing happen. Thank you for again trusting me with them. I know how incredibly sensitive they are. I know how incredibly valuable they are to you, and the fact that you've chosen me to hand them off to means an awful lot. So thank you for that. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for trusting the community. On that note. Let's see. Pamela says, "Families don't always agree, but continue to love each other." That sums it up right there, right? We don't have to agree. We don't have to agree on anything except for one. And that the thing we need to agree with is that we're here for each other. That's it. Will you agree to that? I agree to that. So Dina says, "That was just the best show. Thank you." Tracy says, "Thank you for creating such an amazing support group." I didn't create it. I love that. Thank you, Tracy. But all I did was go to Facebook and said, create group. That's it. You guys have built, what this is all you. 100% you guys have built this. The podcast does not exist without your email. listen to other podcasts out there, right? I believe, and I don't listen to a lot of podcasts, so I'm not 100% sure of this, but I'm pretty close. Most of the other podcasts, the format for them is motivational speaker, goes and looks for motivational people, and then they bring motivational people on, and they share some motivation. You know, what's missing is an opportunity for you to share your story. So the only reason this podcast exists is for you to share your story with the community, to find help for you and to help someone who doesn't know that they are not alone. So without your email, without that thing doesn't exist. So you can thank me all you want, but the reality is we have to thank each other for making it what it is. So on that note, yep, I'm gonna go ahead and sign this off. So Donna says, yep, you filled a need and we climbed on board. So that is truly what it's all about. So thank you again for being a part of the show. For those in the Patreon community, thank you. You know, I put some notes out there. I got one more surprise coming to you soon, but this group right here of amazing people have stepped up to provide the financial support to keep this thing going. Truly appreciate that. If you don't have the financial means, that's fine. Don't let that stop you. Continue to tune in, continue to be here. The podcast will forever be provided for free. That's my goal, because I want to make sure that anybody who needs the help always has the help, the daily motivation. I really can't wait. We're 100 episodes away. I can't wait for 365 episodes, because then what that means is every single day for an entire year, you can tune in, you can find some sort of motivation, and you always have us walking with you. Right now, 264 is not a bad average. You can listen to a couple over and over again if you need to, but there's no reason not to tune in and to just find the support you need, get the motivation you need, and get to goals. So again, thank you all of you for being here. Thanks for tuning in live, and I will get the podcast out soon. And thank you again to the Patreon community, to all the patrons. So on that note, wish you the best of focus. Keep up the amazing work, and I salute you, and I believe in you. Have a great night. Bye-bye.